What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my Vanderbilt Commodores football preview for 2016. So talking about a team last year that went 4-8 overall, 2-6 in conference, good for tied for fourth in the SEC East with Kentucky, the team I actually just previewed earlier. So start with the first of my three key players. I'm going to start with the quarterback Kyle Schirmer. Schirmer, a guy that took over for about 5 or 6 games in 2015, showed some promise as a freshman, and probably has got the job for 2016. Wade Freebeck's still part of that competition, though. One thing Vanderbilt's just going to have to do better is just the passing game. It was pretty sad last year. That's partly chalked up to injuries to the offensive line and receivers and just poor receiver play in general. But this is an offense that was pretty much god-awful in 2015. So, move on to my second key player, and I've got the running back Ralph Webb. So, Webb is one of the lone bright spots of this offense, in a big way. 1,000-yard rusher last year, almost 1,000-yard rusher as a freshman as well. I expect him to do big things again in 2016, running back revamped and actually helped the offensive line. So my third key player is maybe the best player along Vanderbilt's defense, and that's Zach Cunningham. A big surprise in 2015, ended up getting named to the first team All-SEC. Playing at the inside linebacker spot next to Nigel Bowden, should be a force to be reckoned with once again in 2016. Had over 100 tackles in 2015 as well. And I think there's 3 players on this defense that are actually all, I'd say, maybe all as important as the other, and that's Oren Burks and Torrin McGaster and Zach Cunningham, as mentioned before. So the first of my 2 X factors is just the play of the wide receivers. They returned some players from injury last year, like C.J. Duncan, a couple guys at tight end, Jared Pinkney, and I believe Nathan Marcus. Let me make sure that is correct. DeAndre Woods. That's my bad on that. But anyway, this is going to be a team that should be improved on offense in 2016. Like I said, it's going to be hard to get worse, and that's going to start with the wide receivers. Really, since the days of Jonathan Krause and Jordan Matthews, this team hasn't had a great set of wide receivers. So my second X factor is continue the defensive momentum. This was a defense last year that was actually very good. They just couldn't score points. His defense came up big, in a big way, multiple times. They almost beat Florida last year. They lost 9-7. Really, the only time the defense struggled last year was against Tennessee. And they struggled. Houston, too. They got kind of wrecked by Houston. But anyway, if the offense can put up points this year and the defense continues to play the same way they did in 2015, then Vanderbilt could pull off a few upsets this year. They beat Mizzou last year 10-3. That was a big one, if I didn't mention that already. So, move on to my trap game for Vanderbilt. And I think it's going to be Middle Tennessee State. Again, very similar to Kentucky, Mid-Tennessee State, a team that will most likely be a bowl team this year, and team that Vanderbilt cannot take lightly. This Vanderbilt team, in my opinion, is not talented enough to be able to take a team like that lightly. And honestly, I believe the game's at home, so the fact that it's at home, I think, will let them get by it. So my biggest game for Vanderbilt is their biggest rival, which is Tennessee. They get Tennessee at home this year. Got beat pretty bad by Tennessee last year. Again, I just mentioned that loss that they had, having 53 put up on them by Tennessee. I hate to say it, I see more of the same in 2016, but if they can make it even kind of close, then that can help them build momentum heading into 2017. So, moving to my record prediction for Vanderbilt, and I think they're going to go 3-9 this year. I hate to say that they're going to go backwards, but this is a tough schedule this year. Outside of the Tennessee State game out of conference, it's hard it's hard to see them winning all 3 out of conference games, or all 4 out of conference games, because they do have to go to Georgia Tech, which will be a good game. But they also have Middle Tennessee State and Western Kentucky, 2 pretty good non-Power 5 teams that they have to play. The SEC schedule is pretty daunting this year. They don't really get any favors from the teams they have to play out of the SEC West. They have to play Ole Miss and Auburn. They have to go to Mizzou, to Georgia. They do get Florida at home, but that's going to be a tough game as well, and they do have to go to Kentucky. So that'll pretty much do it for my Vanderbilt preview for 2016. I have Wazoo and Pitt coming up to finish off the day on my previews, but that's pretty much it. See ya.